To the courts now, once again concerns were raised surrounding charges of the former gang member now turned state witness was at one point deeply involved in the alleged criminal organization, the Wandon faction of the St. Catherine-based Clansman gang. The former gangster previously testified how he transported members of the gang to allegedly murder people, witnessed some of these murders, had knowledge of extortion and participated in the purchase of guns and ammunition, the latest in the ongoing trial.
On Monday, a senior police witness took the stand defending the decision not to charge the former gangster, now turned Crown witness, who seemingly implicated himself. The senior police officer said a cost-benefit analysis was done, and he formed the view that if the witness was charged, it would have had significant negative impact on the case. But Chief Justice Brian Sykes intervened, saying it is now a judicial question if charges are to be laid or not, and the police's assessment of the matter is irrelevant. Justice Sykes went further, saying ultimately the law tells him what to do, and in this case it already has. Still, the police maintained that in the interest of national security and for the greater good, the decision was made not to charge the witness. Defense attorney Lloyd McFarlane, who represents the reputed gang leader Andre Blackman Bryan, challenged the police witness, saying that the former gangster was not cautioned before providing a regular witness statement. McFarlane suggested that the police did not caution the former gangster, knowing very well what he said could not be used against him in court. The police witness disagreed, saying it is dependent on the investigation and the approach taken, going further to say he himself previously used witnesses' statements against them. The police witness indicated that it was never communicated to the former gangster that he would not be charged. Justice Sykes picked up on the argument, asking what more would be needed to convince the police that such a person who has confessed to criminal activities be charged. Quote, that person won't even spend a day in prison, end quote. Additionally, Sykes asked rhetorically, what's the point of the plea bargaining legislation?
Meanwhile, it was revealed that the lone female defendant, Stephanie Christie, attempted to bribe a police officer, but she was not charged. That same officer was reportedly part of an interview with the alleged gang leader some years ago, where it said that Bryan revealed certain information. The prosecution is seeking to have this police officer as a witness, but Chief Justice Sykes expressed reservations. A preliminary examination of the officer will be done when the trial resumes on Tuesday morning.
According to the policeman who took the stand, he was convinced that there was not sufficient evidence to prove the witness. He says he also concluded the witness was credible, as statements from other witnesses and other evidence corroborated what the star witness told the police. He says in the interest of national security and for the greater good, the detectives decided to proceed with the investigation against alleged gang leader Andre Blackman Bryan and his 32 co-accused without charging the star witness. But the presiding judge intervened, saying the police's decision was not binding on the judge. During cross-examination, attorney for Andre Bryan, Lloyd McFarlane, questioned the witness on when he made the decision not to charge the witness. According to McFarlane, the police determined early not to charge the witness because he wanted to use him against the defendants. Mr. McFarlane indicated that was evident as the witness was asked to give a witness statement, not voluntary statement, where he would be cautioned that what he told the police could be used against him. But the witness dismissed Mr. McFarlane's claim, saying, while difficult, it is possible in some cases to use a witness statement against a witness. Later, Sykes asked the witness how difficult it would be for the police to source evidence against a man who already admitted to several crimes. He also questioned the use of the plea bargaining legislation in cases like these. Sykes said, the moral of the story, if I'm a murderer, all I have to do is go to the police with information. Not even a day in prison, the judge further asks. But the witness says oftentimes cautioning witnesses results in them refusing to give evidence. He says he's confident the police would not have received so much information from the witness had they asked him to give a voluntary statement and made it clear to him he could be prosecuted.
Chief Justice Brian Sykes today rejected the Crown's application to have a retired police witness be treated as an expert. And during a preliminary examination of the witness, it was disclosed that he provided 3 regular witness statements in the matter. Justice Sykes says the information provided in the statements does not suggest that the witness should be projected as a gang expert, so he'll only be allowed to give evidence as a regular witness. The retired gang investigator interacted with members of the Wandon Clansman gang and gave insight into the culture of the alleged criminal enterprise. The retired police classified the alleged gang as a 2nd or 3rd generation gang that's fully structured and sophisticated in its criminal operations.
The retired police witness says he has been a detective for over 29 years, a trained and certified gang investigator who has probed several gang investigations to include the Clansman gang and the One Order gang in St. Catherine North, the Umbrella gang in St. Catherine South, Young Generation out of Kingston Western, and the G-City gang in Trelawney. He described the gang as a system where members tend to prey upon themselves, quote, friend kill friend, end quote. The leader of the gang, he says, keeps away from these crimes but gives out the instructions. This, he says, makes it more difficult to build a case around the leader. The retired detective went further to say the gang has their own justice system, similar to Jamaica's judicial process. He explains that they have a place on Martin Street in Spanish Town called Judgment Yard. Quote, they carry out their trials there and determine what is to happen. If they disobey, they will be killed or beaten, end quote. He told the court that the gangsters mostly specialize in extortion and the trafficking of guns, ammunition, and marijuana. He points out that members of the organization tend to form alliances with members of the security forces to get information. The retired police witness said from his interaction with both active and inactive members of the gang, he learned how they carried out their extortion of business places. He said he was told that they would send letters to establishments offering security and protection, then after seeking a donation for such causes. He adds that the gangsters are so sophisticated that they don't even deliver the letters themselves, and the person who delivers the letter doesn't even know who it's coming from. The retired detective will continue giving evidence when the court reconvenes on Wednesday morning at 10.
To the court now, a retired police today detailed how he first met with the defendant Stephanie Christie alias Muma, the lone female among the 33 accused in the Wandon Clansman gang trial. Christie, he said, attempted to bribe him with $100,000 to release the reputed gang leader Blackman after he was brought in for questioning at the Spanish Town police station in September of 2017. The retired cop also formally identified Citypus, the mystery defendant in the ongoing trial. Again, we caution some of the language used may be disturbing. We have more in this report.
The nearly 2 hours of conversation between the now retired police and the defendant Stephanie Christie alias Muma revealed the great lengths Christie was willing to go to ensure the freedom of the reputed gang leader Blackman. The retired police said she approached him saying, quote, "Me a Livity Cooke, baby mother. You have the G and I'm a man," end quote, G referring to Brian. The witness responded, quote, "Look at you have two of the biggest bad man them in a Jamaica. How you manage that?" End quote. Christie laughed while saying, quote, "My thing up like that, man," end quote. She then proceeded to offer him money in exchange for the release of Brian, quote, "Me can give you $100,000 for let him go, you know," end quote. When she saw that he wasn't taking the bait, she told him to make an offer, which he did, quote, "Me a gonna need 2 rifles," end quote. He said Christie replied, quote, "That are the least. When the G come out, we can get that. That are the least," end quote. He told her, quote, "My girl, a serious thing me inna, you know. Me need the gun them, and me no want no all gun we no want. Me need Chris's," end quote. She responded, quote, "Me swear pa my pitney life. Any other G come out, that no problem," end quote. The retired police explained that he neither arrested nor charged Christie in that instance because he saw an opportunity to use her as a human source in dismantling the gang. He misled her into identifying a member of the gang who he says was behind a trail of extortion letters and voice notes circulating in Spanish Town. Christie told him the full name of Citypus, Jason Brown. The witness says he went to the Horizon Remand Center and charged Brown for extortion and being part of a gang. Brown, who is serving a life sentence for murder, was positively identified in court. The trial will continue on Monday morning at 10.
The 30-year police veteran says in September 2017, he was about to conduct an interview with Brian at the Spanish Town police station. Brian had been recently arrested. He says officers told him a woman was outside and wanted to speak with him urgently. The witness says when he went outside, the woman identified herself as Stephanie Christie Cole, also known as Muma. The prosecution asked the witness to point her out in court, and the defendant stood up promptly. The witness then said, "That's the great Muma." The witness says in 2017 he asked Muma
how she managed to have two of the, quote, baddest man them in Jamaica. He says she replied saying, "My thing up like that, you know, my thing up like that." He says she asked him what she could do to have the G, Brian, released. According to the retired officer, nothing made Brian happier than when he was referred to as the G. The witness says Christie said to him, quote, "Things can happen, you know, things can happen." He says at that point she offered him $100,000 for Brian's release. The retired police investigator, who calls himself a gang expert, says he said to her, "At this year, this mean a girl, you have two of the baddest man them, and you want for me $100,000? You mad? A two rifle you have to give me." He says she assured him that was, quote, "no problem once the G come out." He says he went back inside and continued the interview with Brian.